Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Yam Pravajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Viraka Tarajava Putreti Tanmayatayo Taravo Bhinedustam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshe Kshitascha Kamari Tarangamade Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vinde Namaste Charanarvindam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Panamami Haripriya. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. First of all, I'm offering my humble obeisances at the feet of Sripad Bhaktabandha Vrsikananda Maharaj and to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, Bhaktabandha of Srila Gurudeva, and to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the whole Rupa Anuga Gaudiya Guru Varga. Hare Krishna. So we'll continue reading from Srila Gurudev's lectures given in Holland in 1996. This is still his first lecture given in the West. And Srila Gurudeva is talking about Srila Prabhupada coming to the West for the first time, and how when he came, he did not come for any kind of worldly gain. He came to give this wealth of love for God, the wealth of this holy name, who is non-different than Krishna himself, and that he did not come alone. He came with Srila Prabhupada, his guru, and the whole Guru Parampara, the whole line of gurus and disciples, perfected beings, along with Mahaprabhu himself, Radha Krishna themselves, and their whole family, Lalita, Vishaka, everybody. Then the whole spiritual abode, he came. They were all with him when he came. And Srila Gurudeva says, I think that he has made a platform in the whole world, in each country, that so many devotees with kartals and mridangas, they are all dancing and singing, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. My tears are therefore not stopping. Srila Gurudev begins to choke up. I think that in these countries, there was not a single devotee. From India, so many people used to come, but there was no Ekantika Vaishnav. Do you know what is an Ekantika Vaishnav? devotee says a pure Vaishnav. Gurudeva says there are so many differences between a Kantika Vaishnav and a pure Vaishnav. Another devotee says he is fixed in the worship of Radha Krishna. Srila Gurudeva says yes, especially to Radha Krishna. There may be worshippers of Narayana, Dwarkadish, Ramachandra, or another. They may be pure Vaishnavas. There are pure Vaishnavas among the Ramanujis and among the followers of Rukmini Dwarkadish, but not a Kantika worshippers of Vrajendra Nandana Shyama Sundar. No one had come to the West like that. Now I see so many devotees waiting here for me with kirtan, playing mridanga, and so many things. And in the West, there are not just 200 or 300, but perhaps lakhs. So I am overwhelmed by this. What a miracle he has done in a very few years. If he had more time, he would have accomplished so many more miracles. So Srila Gurudev, he's saying here that Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he came and he preached this message of Krishna consciousness, of God consciousness all over the whole world in a very short amount of time. He came to the Western world in about 1965-ish, and he left our material vision. He left his body in about 1977. So just over 10 years, 10, 11 years, 12 years. And Srila Gurudev, he would always say that he performed a miracle. Like Srila Gurudev is saying here, there was not even a single devotee in the West. Outside of India, nobody had heard about Krishna or Krishna consciousness. And everyone was engaged in so much sense gratification and so much meat eating and so many sinful activities. But Srila Prabhupada, he came to the West, and by the power of his devotion and the power of his love and the power of his desire to fulfill the order of his guru, he was able to preach the glories of this pure love and devotion for the Supreme Lord and inspire many, many people. Srila Gurudev here says perhaps hundreds of thousands of people to dedicate their lives to serving God, to serving Krishna, which is incredible. It's amazing to think about how he did that. He practically established a new religion in one sense in a very short amount of time, and inspire so many people to take up this practice. Because nowadays, Srila Prabhupada would say that the churches are almost like empty, and hardly anyone is engaged in practicing any sort of religion. Mostly people are giving up religion. Now there's more people coming and more people are waking up day by day. But especially around that time, there were so many wars. There still are so many wars and so much fighting and so much violence, and practically very little religion in the Western world. What to speak of pure devotees of Krishna who are playing mridanga and doing kirtan and dancing and chanting Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. This is very rare. And that many other people from India came, Srila Gurudeva is saying, but they were preaching many things like impersonalism, like the Supreme is only some kind of impersonal light, or that we are all God and everything is God and God has no direct form. And he's not like a person, but he's everything, this whole world is just an illusion. And when we realize that, then we merge into the impersonal nothingness at the end. So all of these philosophies were being preached. But this was the first time that a one-pointed devotee of Radha and Krishna had come to the West and spread this very specific mood of worshiping the Supreme Lord in his form as Krishna, who is a cowherd boy living in his abode called Goloka Vrndavana with all of his friends and family members and girlfriends, who is always playing and dancing and laughing and joking and going out to cowherd and playing so many sweet pastimes. This had never been heard of before. So Srila Gurudeva said that many devotees of Narayana and perhaps Dwarkadish Krishna, who is Krishna who lives in Dwarka, and Lord Ramachandra, perhaps they had come and they had preached worshiping these forms and incarnations of the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord, he incarnates, he can incarnate in unlimited different forms to play unlimited varieties of pastimes. And Narayana is one form of the Supreme Lord who has 4 arms and is holding so many things, like a club and a chakra disc that spins very fast, and he can throw it at anybody and it can kill them wherever he wants. And he's holding also a lotus in one hand and a conch shell in the other hand, and he's adorned with so many very opulent ornaments and so many other things, a very heavy crown. And he's also living in the spiritual world, which has unlimited amounts of planets on which all these different incarnations of the Lord are situated. And Narayan is there, and he's being worshipped alongside his eternal potency, Lakshmi Devi, who you might have heard of, is a incarnation of Krishna's potency, the power of Krishna, known to be like the incarnation of like wealth or fortune. And all of their devotees are worshiping them with so much awe and reverence and so much opulence, knowing that, oh, this is God and this is the Supreme Lord who can see everything and who knows everything and who has all power and all wealth, and he is eternal and he never gets hungry and he is never tired and he never has to sleep, and he is everything, the source of all the spiritual worlds and all the material worlds. And we are simply very insignificant worshippers and servants of that supreme God who is sitting very high up there on a throne. And we can adore him from afar and pray to him for his mercy, that he can cast his merciful glance on us and liberate us from this eternal cycle of birth and death. And there's so many other prayers that the devotees of Narayan will pray. And similarly, these other incarnations of Krishna, like Dwarkadish and Lord Ramachandra, all of their devotees, they have this knowledge that this is the Supreme Lord and he is all powerful. And so this comes to the point, a very important point about the difference between these incarnations of the Lord and specifically of Krishna, who Srila Prabhupada would say is the supreme personality of Godhead. Not only Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudeva, but all the Vedas, all the scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam. In the beginning, Vyasadeva is writing, Ete chamsa kala pumsam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That all the other incarnations of Krishna are only parts of expansions of Krishna. But the fountainhead of all incarnations and everything in existence is the supreme personality of Godhead, the original primeval personality of Godhead, Krishna. And there's so many reasons for this, which I will try and explain and get into briefly. And the speciality of Krishna himself is that he is playing like he is a normal or ordinary human being. And this is very significant because this facilitates a very intimate and a very sweet relationship with Krishna. Because all of the residents of Vrindavan, the abode of Brajendra Nandana, Shama Sundar, like Srila Gurudeva said, Brajendra Nandana means Braj, which is Vrindavan, and Indra, the master of Vrndavana, and Nandana means the sun. So Krishna himself, who has he is like an eternal youth, as it's described in the scriptures. He is like an eternal, youthful, developed, like teenager almost. in his youth, and he has a blackish, bluish complexion, like a blue sapphire, and beautiful curly locks, and he's playing on his flute, and he's wearing a yellow chadar, a yellow pitambar, a yellow cloth on his body that looks like lightning, and he has lotus-like eyes and a lotus-like smile and so many other beautiful features, lotus-like feet. And he's wearing a peacock feather on his head that's tilting to the left. And every day he goes out and he takes his over 900,000 cows out to graze in the pastures. And he plays on his flute while all of his cowherd boyfriends are following him. And they're all going out to herd the cows. And he's playing and dancing and laughing and joking and swimming in the rivers, the river Yamuna, and climbing the trees and the forests of Vrndavana, and eating fruits with his friends and taking rest and playing with the gopis of Vrndavana and playing so many sweet pastimes, sharing so much love and affection with all the residents, all the birds, all the deer, all the cows of Vrndavana. And this is a very different and a very specific and a very special form of the Lord, because this is the original, this is the topmost form of the Supreme Lord, as it is described by our Guru Varga and the scriptures. Because Krishna, he can relate with the living entity in the most variegated ways possible. That he's not any weaker. He still has all the opulence and all the power and all the beauty, actually the most beauty and the most everything, as all the other incarnations of the Lord. They're all non-different. But in terms of the ability to relate in certain relationships with his devotees, he has the most capacity to do that in the most varieties of ways. So I'll try and explain that a little bit more. The devotees of all of the other incarnations, Srila Gurudeva would say, can only go up to like servitude. So there's 5 prominent relationships that the living entity can have with the Supreme Lord. And that is, one is a mood of neutrality called shantaras, means like peaceful, where the devotee understands that the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Lord, and he offers admiration and praise to that Supreme Lord from a distance, understanding the majesty of God, but he's not actually engaging in any service, any direct service to the Lord. He's simply offering his prayers in complete awe and reverence. There's so much reverential behavior, and he's just awestruck, and the glory of God is just overwhelming him. So this is like shantaras, this is neutrality. He's neutral. He's not against Krishna, and he's not actively serving God either. but he is neutral. Then the second one is dasya ras, which means the mood of servitorship, to be a servant of the Lord. And there's many examples of devotees who are in the mood of servitorship. All of the devotees of most of the incarnations of the Lord are in this dasya ras. They have a spiritual form in one of the many planets in Vaikuntha, the spiritual realm, and they are serving whichever form of the Lord that they worship, and they are doing whatever services. They may be fanning the Lord with a fan. They may be bringing the Lord food. They may be doing so many things, fulfilling whatever orders Krishna may have at any given moment. They may be bringing certain things or fulfilling certain functions, but they are always ready to serve in any way, shape, or form that is necessary. So that is the mood of servitorship. Like, Krishna is my master, the Lord is my master, God is my master, and I am his servant. And whatever he asks, I will do. I will bring water, I will bring so many different things, whatever he requires, and I am his insignificant servant, and he is my great master. And so still there's this mood of awe and reverence. And this is found, again, with most of the incarnations of Krishna, like Narayana, and Nrsimhadev, and Vamandev, so many other incarnations, Ramachandra. Then the third kind of relationship with God, one of the main five, is Sakya Ras, which means the mood of friendship. So now this is a speciality. The last three are specialities of Krishna in Vrindavan. Because all of the other incarnations of Krishna, all of their devotees are imbued with the knowledge that the Lord is all-powerful and all-knowing, and he doesn't need anything from me, really. And so there's this fear that is there also. Krishna himself says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that this kind of love for me is crippled by this mood and this knowledge of my opulence and my greatness, because the devotees who are having this knowledge of the opulence of the Lord, they're always afraid that they will make some offense, that they will step on the Lord's toes, or they will offend the Lord in any kind of way. And so they are very scared of doing anything wrong, and there's always fear there. That relationship is not so intimate because they are afraid to make fun of the Lord, to make jokes, to play, to do so many different things that would be maybe more intimate, to even criticize and argue with the Lord. There can be no sweetness there. Just like if you have a boss, and you know that your boss he can fire you or he can chastise you, and he has so much power, then you're always very afraid. You don't want to be too friendly with him because he is very great and you are very small. You are not on the same level. And so there's not so much friendship there. That is a relationship of master and servant. That I am very low and the Lord is my boss is very high. But in Sakyaras, in the mood of friendship, which can, Srila Gurudeva would say, only really be had with Krishna himself. Because the speciality of Vrindavan, Gurudeva would say, that abode of Krishna, is that none of the residents of Vrindavan have this knowledge that Krishna is God, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, that he is full in all opulences, and he is very great and very powerful, and the origin of everything, and the master of unlimited universes. They are simply thinking that Krishna is a very small cowherd boy, their very dear friend, their very beloved son, their beloved. And they don't have any of this fear that is associated with the knowledge that this person is God himself, and that they will make some offense. And therefore they can be very friendly with him. The relationship between Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends in Vrindavan is incredibly sweet. They wrestle with each other, they chase each other through the forests of Vrindavan. The Sakas, the friends of Krishna, if they defeat Krishna in any game, like in wrestling, then they will say, "Oh, you have to be like a horse, and I get to ride on your shoulders, and you have to go wherever I say." And so Krishna, even though he's God and he has all the strength, the most strength, he's the origin of all strength, because the friends of Krishna want to defeat him, and they think that not only am I equal with Krishna, but I am even more superior. I am better than Krishna. Krishna gets to taste this relationship. And that is not something that he gets to taste very often, because everywhere else, everyone knows that he is God. And so they don't have that very sweet, loving relationship with him. So now, Krishna, he wants to taste all these different moods of love and all these different, it's called a rasa, all these different rasas, which means like a taste or like a mellow, a loving mellow, meaning like a certain kind of relationship. So the relationship between friend and friend is a specific taste. The relationship between a mother and a son is a specific taste that tastes very sweet. That mood of love, which is unique. You don't have that same relationship between a mother and a son that you do between a random person on the street, or your boss, or your teacher, or someone else. And then similarly, there's a different kind of rasa, or a different kind of taste, between a father and a son, a father and a daughter, like this. Then there's yet another taste between like a husband and a wife. That is a specific kind of relationship with a specific kind of taste to it. The husband and wife, they're kissing each other very affectionately and embracing each other in a very affectionate way. And that relationship has so many of its own specialities and so many special tastes that aren't there in a relationship between two friends or a mother and a son, like this. So Krishna wants to taste all these kinds of relationships. And Why Vrindavan is so special is, again, because no one is thinking that Krishna is God. He gets to play just like he's a normal boy and have very sweet, beautiful relationships with his associates. So there's so many more details about these different moods, but I'll keep moving forward. So that was the mood of friendship. The Sakas, the friends of Krishna, they're coming into Krishna's room in the morning and jumping on his bed and telling him to wake up, right? If you knew that this was God, you wouldn't be disturbing him. You wouldn't want to disturb him. You wouldn't want to offend him, because he might banish you to hell, or he might punish you, or become upset, or who knows. You would not want to upset him or even go near him. So the fourth kind of relationship is Vatsalya ras, which is the mood of parental affection. So this is a relationship that is described to have even more love and affection for the Lord, where you are actually thinking that the Lord is my little son. Krishna is very small, and he is dependent on me for his eating and his sleeping and his shelter. And you are providing all of those things for Krishna in Vrindavan. And you are bathing him and dressing him and feeding him, cooking for him, giving, if you're in the form of a lady, with parental affection, you're giving little Krishna, baby Krishna, your breast milk, and serving him in so many other ways like this. And so this is the mood of parental affection, where the devotee is in a mood that Krishna is my very, very baby boy, and I am nourishing and supporting him. And many devotees throughout history have had this desire and are worshiping the Lord like that. And they pray to have Krishna come and incarnate as their son. But the thing about all those devotees is that they still had some understanding that Krishna was God. And so when he was born, in whatever incarnation it may be, they still couldn't have a very sweet relationship with Krishna. And so Srila Gurudeva, he would say that really, outside of Vrindavan, where Krishna himself is present as a young cowherd boy, everywhere else there's only a mood of servitude. There's either Shantaras or Dasyaras, but there's no Sakyaras, because you can't be that intimate if you know that this is God. And so really, Mother Yasoda, who is the mother of Krishna, she is the abode of this Vatsalya ras, the mood of parental affection for Krishna. And other devotees have maybe a shadow of it or a part of it, but it is contaminated with this knowledge of Krishna's opulence. So this is another relationship that one can have with Krishna. Brajendra Nandana, Shyama Sundar. Shyama Sundar means that blackish, bluish boy who is Sundar, very beautiful. Shyam means like black, blackish. And then the fifth prominent rasa or mellow or relationship with Krishna is a mood of madhurya, or a mood of sweetness. The mood of conjugal love, or the love either in two different ways, either swakiya ras or parakiya ras. meaning a mood of marriage, like Krishna is my husband and I am his wife, or a paramour mood, where Krishna is my beloved and he is my lover, or I am his beloved. And so this is unwedded love. So these are two different kinds of conjugal love that the devotee can have with Krishna in Vrindavan. And this is the speciality that Srila Prabhupada, he came to spread this kind of bhakti. Bhakti yoga means devotion. Means you are serving and pleasing Krishna. And Krishna has unlimited desires. He wants to taste all of these different moods of love. So there's the love of the mother, there's the love of the father, there's the love of the wife, there's the love of the lover, there's the love of the friend. And he wants to taste all of these different moods. So this was never before even contemplated or thought of or preached before Mahaprabhu came only 500 or so years ago. This is a very unprecedented understanding that we can have this kind of very deep and very intimate relationship with God himself. And Srila Prabhupada, he came to give that specifically these very sweet relationships with Krishna himself in Goloka Vrindavan, which is a very unique offering. And Srila Prabhupada came and he preached this message of Krishna consciousness and love and affection for Krishna in this way all over the world. And he made hundreds and hundreds and thousands of devotees. Gurudeva says here, what a miracle he has done. No one had come to the West like that and preached this pure love for God, which was unimpeded, uninhibited by this knowledge of his opulence. A very unique offering. And something that had never been done before. It was said that in the West, practically everyone was like very demoniac. Murderers, meat eaters, very, very sinful, very, very degraded people with hardly any religion and just complete chaos. And so the fact that Srila Prabhupada came, and Gurudeva would say that he made hippies into happies. There were so many hippies at the time in America, but they all heard about this love for Krishna, and they gave up drugs, they gave up meat eating, they gave up all their sinful activity. They gave up everything and completely surrendered to God and became unlimitedly happy, so happy. Because now they weren't looking and chasing after this very degraded, temporary happiness in this world, but they had found the unlimited reservoir of happiness and pleasure, who is Krishna himself and his holy name and devotion to his lotus feet. And that taste of that eternal, ever increasingly blissful, loving relationship completely overpowered and overshadowed any kind of temporary, flickering material sense gratification that any of these people had ever found in this world. And Prabhupada had enlightened them to this understanding and changed. He did a revolution. He made a revolution, Gurudeva said, and he translated so many books and was such a bright light in this world. And Gurudeva said he laid this foundation. He cut all the misconceptions of all these other philosophies of people thinking that I am God, or God doesn't exist, or so many other things. Eat, drink, and be merry. He was removing all the ignorance and giving people this light of God consciousness. And so it's very beautiful to think about. Srila Gurudev here is very overwhelmed thinking about all these things, and he's weeping. Because the pure devotee of the Lord is understood to be like the embodiment of Krishna's mercy. Krishna sends his devotees to this world to help liberate people from their very degraded positions of suffering in this world. And so it's very beautiful to contemplate how such a devotee like Srila Prabhupada came and he distributed all of this mercy of giving this pure love for Krishna everywhere, and thereby bringing people to the spiritual abode to be happy forever. It's a very beautiful, beautiful thing. So, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Radhe, Radhe.